Hello guys, welcome to another session. We are discussing budgets. In budgets, we have finished sales budget, we have finished production units budget, we have finished production cost budget. Today we will move on to another budget, which is called as material budget, material purchase budget, and material cost budget. Now, what is the difference between what do we learn in sales budget is how many units we are going to sell, how many units will be sold, the gross sales and the net sales. In production budget, we were actually trying to plan how many units we are going to produce so that we can meet our sales requirement. So production budget is in a way dependent on your sales budget, right? Now, once you know how many units to be produced, the next question in front of you is how many units of raw material to be purchased. Remember guys, when we are preparing production budget, I said we are always talking in terms of finished units only. When I say closing stock, I'm talking about closing stock of finished units. When I say opening stock, I'm talking about opening stock of finished units. When I say sales, obviously it is finished units, right? Now, when you move on to production budget, say material budget, you should understand that material is used in making a product. So this is the input, production is an output, finished goods is an output, raw material is an input. Now, one important thing we should understand is whenever you are preparing raw material budget, we are going to prepare it on the same lines, but we are not going to talk in terms of finished units. We'll be talking it in terms of raw material. So based on this, if I have to write raw material budget. Sir, what is that we are going to prepare in this raw material budget? So what is the raw material required? Let's say raw material required to be purchased is always equal to what is consumption of raw material. You know how many units of raw material you are going to consume in the production process, plus closing stock of raw material minus opening stock of raw material. See, this is on the same lines what we prepared production units also. Production units is equal to sales plus closing finished goods minus opening finished goods. Now I'm talking about raw material required, consumption of raw material plus closing stock of raw material minus opening stock of raw material. Now, what is new thing here coming up is consumption of raw material. So one should understand how do you get consumption of raw material. So when you look at consumption of raw material, it is something like this. Let's say to make 1 unit of a product, maybe I require 3 kilos of a material. Maybe it is possible, right? So 1 unit of finished product is equal to 3 kilos of raw material. So for me, 1 unit is not important. 3 kilos is important when it comes to raw material budget. So what is important for me? The consumption part, the usage. So how many kilos of raw material do you use? So it is how many units you are going to produce. It is production units multiplied with the raw material required, per unit of finished product. So what is the raw material required for 1 unit? You multiply with the production units, you'll get the consumption of raw material. So this consumption is used here. So you should understand the production units are helping us to find out consumption. The consumption is helping us to find out the raw material required. And you know from where you get the production. Production is coming from sales. So sales budget is the first part. Second, you'll prepare production budget because production is based on sales. Based on production, you'll find out consumption. Based on consumption, your raw material is required. So it is like first you find out sales, then you find out production, then you find out consumption, then you find out raw material. This will be the order, right? So if I have to write it, in step 1, I should know what is your sales. In step 2, I should know what is your production. In step 3, you should know what is your consumption. And in step 4, you will come to know what is your raw material requirement. So you can see these are the 4 steps we generally have to follow. If sales is given, try to find out production. From the production, try to find out consumption. From there, you can find out raw material required. If directly consumption is given, we'll finish it in this process. If production is given, we'll have 2 steps. If sales is given, we'll have 3 steps. So it depends on the information given in the question, right? So let me proceed. All right. Yes, you can come to your the questions what I gave you. The yesterday's document, you can just see the document which I shared you with you yesterday. This is question number 7, where the heading is like material budget. Okay, the question number 7 actually starts in this D26 page and it continues in D27, which I have shared today. So you have to see both the documents. From the following figures, prepare a raw material purchase budget. So he's asking you to prepare a raw material purchase budget for the month of January 1987. So he has given you the material directly of A, B, C, D, E, F. There are 6 types of material. Estimated stock on January 1st. So it is obviously the opening stock. Continue with the current today's document. And January 31st, that is the closing stock. So that is raw material again. Estimated consumption is given. Now guys, I told you, if consumption is given, we will prepare it in one step. Apart from this, he gave the standard price per unit also. So what we have to do at the end is, once you get the material to be purchased, you multiply with the standard price, you'll get the material cost as well. So let us go ahead with this question number 7. This is 7th question. What am I preparing here? It is raw material purchase budget. Raw material purchase budget. Now you can see that we have several products here. So what I try to do is I take the raw material. It's not product, it is raw material type. So we have A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D, E and F, or you can see this. Then what is the formula we are going to apply for raw material budget? I will start with consumption. Consumption of raw material. Then to this I have to add closing stock of raw material. From this I have to deduct opening stock of raw material. See, I'll take consumption plus closing stock minus opening stock. That is going to give me raw material required. Okay. Now, this is first thing we can do it. See, he gave you opening stock on January 1st estimated. Opening stocks. These are the figures he gave you. So this is 16,000. I'll generally call it in kilos. Whether he says in units or whatever it is for our understanding. 16,000 kilos. This is 6,000 kilos, 24,000 kgs of C, 2,000 of D, 14,000 of E, and we have last one is 28,000. Okay, this is my opening stock which is given in the D26 page. In D27, I have the estimated January 31st. January 31st is my closing stock. So I will write here, this is 20,000, 8,000 of B. This is 28,000 of C, 4,000 of D, then 16,000 of E, and 32,000 of F, sorry. Okay. And down you have consumption. Consumption is directly given. Estimated consumption is directly given. 1,20,000. 1,20,000. 44,000 of B. 1,32,000 of C, 36,000 of D, 88,000 of E, and 1,72,000 of F. All right. So what am I going to do? This plus this minus this, right? So 1,20,000 plus 20 minus 16 gives you 1,24,000 kilos. 44 plus 8 minus 6, it should be 46,000. 132 plus 28 minus 24, so it should be 1,36,000. 36 plus 4 minus 2 should be 38,000. 88 plus 16 minus 14, it should be 90,000. 1,72,000 plus 32 minus 28, so 4,000. 1,76,000. Now this is your raw material required. So actually the quantity budget is done, but in the last line of the question he says standard price per unit. So he has given the cost per unit. The cost per unit of this raw material is given. So you can multiply with this cost per unit. They are 25 paise, so be careful. It is 0.25, 25 paise. 5 paise, 0.05. 15 paise, so it is 0.15 per kilo. This is 10 paise, 0.10. 20 paise, so it is 0.20. And 30 paisa, it is 0.30. So what am I going to do? Once I have the raw material, just multiply with the cost per unit, you will get the total raw material cost. It is not the consumption cost, guys, you should understand. It is not the consumption cost, it is the purchase cost. So total raw material, write it as raw material purchase cost. So how much raw material is required? That raw material cost, whether you purchase it. See, actually this is the consumption. You know how much you should purchase. This is your consumption, but how much you're purchasing, we are multiplying with the purchase units. So it is raw material purchase cost. So you can use your calculators in order to find out this. I'll try to solve it. It is 1,24,000 into 0.25 comes to 31,000 rupees. So this is rupees. So far it is in kilos. Now it turns to be rupees. Then we have 46,000 into 5 paise comes to 2,300. Then 1,36,000 into 15 paise, that is 20,400. This is 10 paise, so 3,800. This is 20 paise to, so it is 18,000. It is 1,76,000 into 30 paise gives you 52,800. So the total amount you're going to spend is 52,800 plus 18,000 plus 3,800 plus 20,400 plus 2,300 plus 31,000 is coming to 1,28,300 rupees. What is this 1,28,300 rupees called as? The total raw material cost, right? So 1,28,300 is the total raw material cost or raw material purchase cost. This is okay. I hope this is done. So raw material budget is consumption plus closing raw material minus opening raw material is what is required, multiplied with cost per unit gives you the total cost. Okay, let me move to the next question. Yes. Come to the 8th question. You look at this 8th question. The sales director of a manufacturing company reports that next year he expects to sell 54,000 units. Now guys, what is given to us? 54,000 units is what? 54,000 units is consumption? No. 54,000 units is the production? Answer is no. 54,000 units is the sales? Yes, because you read that the sales director of the company expects to sell. So he's saying like, I'm going to sell 54,000 units. So sales is given to you. So from sales, you have to come to production. From production, you should come to consumption, and then only you can prepare raw material purchase budget. The two kinds of raw material, the production manager consults the storekeeper and casts figures as follows. Two kinds of raw material A and B are required for manufacturing the product. So there are two materials A and B. Each unit of product requires 2 units of A and 3 units of B. That means to make 1 unit of finished product, you have to put 2 kilos of A product, A raw material, and 3 kilos of B raw material. Though he's calling it as units, I'm calling it as kilos. The estimated opening balance at the commencement of the next year. So estimated opening balance at the commencement of next year, that is the beginning. Finished units is given, A units is given, B units is given. That means finished units will help you to find out the production. A unit and B units will help you to find out the raw material. The desired closing balance at the end of the next year. So this is closing balance of next year. So this is closing stocks. Again, finished products A and B are given. Draw a quantitative chart showing the material purchase budget for the next year. All right. Though the question is very small, but there is a point to be learned here. What is given to us? Sales is given to you as 54,000 units. I have been given sales units. Now, the next thing what I should do is I have to find out the production. How do you find out the production units? Production units, when I say I'm talking about finished goods. Production units is sales units plus closing finished goods minus opening finished goods, isn't it? Now, what is sales given to me? It is 54,000 units. So I bring it here. Go to the question and find out where is the opening and closing finished goods. You have the finished products. Beginning of commencement of next year is 10,000. Closing balance at the end of next year is 14,000. So I'll bring 14,000 here. And opening stock is 10,000. So this gives me 54,000 plus commencement is opening. At the end of the next year is closing. Yes, ending is 15. So 54,000 plus 14 minus 10 gives me 58,000 units. Now, I know that you are planning to sell 54,000 units, but in order to sell 54,000 units of finished products, you must produce 58,000 units because that is your requirement. So 58,000 should be produced. I don't want the production, I want the consumption. So the next thing is consumption of raw material. Consumption of raw material. What is the formula? Production units multiplied by consumption of raw material per unit. So for A raw material and B raw material I have to do separately. For A, what is the production? I'm planning to produce 58,000 units. So for both, 58,000 units will be the production. In order to produce 58,000 units of a finished product, he says each unit of product requires 2 units of A and 3 units of B. So it is 2 units of A and 3 units of B because consumption of raw material per unit. For 1 unit, I require 2 kilos of A and 3 kilos of B. So multiply this with this, you get the consumption of raw material. So this will be 1,16,000. And this will be 3 times 1,74,000. Yeah, 1,74,000. Now I have the consumption of raw material. So then I can proceed with preparation of raw material budget. I have the consumption. See, from sales, I could find out production. From production, I could find out the consumption. Now I'm preparing the raw material purchase budget. So can I clean this? So 8th one continued. I'm preparing raw material purchase budget. Raw material purchase budget. We have only two types of raw material here. So raw material is A raw material and B raw material. I want consumption. consumption. I want the closing stock of raw material. I want opening stock of raw material, because this consumption is also raw material. Consumption of raw material plus closing stock of raw material minus opening stock of raw material gives me the raw material required. Raw material required. Let's see. Let's go back to your the previous thing. I think it is 1,16,000 is one thing. 1,74,000 is the other thing, right? So 1,16,000, 1,74,000 units of consumption. Now I want the stocks of raw material at the end. So you can see the desired closing balance at the end of next year are A, 13,000 units and B, 16,000 units. You have to be careful when you're taking the figures, closing figures or opening figures. You have to be very careful. And the estimated opening balance at the commencement of next year is 12 and 15. So this is 12,000 and 15,000. So consumption plus closing minus opening, consumption plus closing minus opening gives you the raw material required. 116 plus 13 minus 12 gives you 1,17,000 kilos of A. 174 plus 16 minus 15 gives me 1,75,000 kilos of product B. That is what is required. That is your answer. Is it okay? Because we don't have the cost per unit information, I did not find out the total cost of raw material. That's all about question number 8. Now, that's question number 8. So let me go to the next part of the question, or next question actually. All right. So come to the 9th question, guys. The 9th question says, from the given particulars presented by P Limited, you are asked to prepare a material budget. So it's again the same material budget is what is asking. Estimated sales are 50,000 units. So it's going to be the same lines. You gave me sales. From sales, I will try to come to production. From production, I will try to come to consumption. And from consumption, I will try to find out the raw material budget or the requirement. So 50,000 units. Each unit of production requires 2 units of material X and 4 units of material Y. Very good. So when you get the production, you have to multiply this with 2 and 4 to get the consumption. Estimated opening balances of finished goods, material X, material Y. Material on order. Now this is the new point here. What do you mean by material on order? See, when you actually have to buy the material, what happens? You invite the tenders, we evaluate the tenders, then we select the best tender, means the least one at the best quality and uninterrupted supply. So we select that and then we place the order. Once you place the order, do you think immediately you'll get the material the next moment? No, it is going to take some time. Maybe you're trying to purchase material from other states, maybe you're importing the material from other countries. So it all depends from where you're actually purchasing the raw material. So in this case, there might be a transit time which is taking place. So that means they have placed the order, but the material has not yet reached the stores of the company. So you're having opening finished goods 10,000. Already material X, you have 15,000 units in your stores. Already material X, 15,000 units is already there in the stores. But then another 8,000 units is in the transit. So it is started from the supplier's place, but it is not reached us. Now for us, what you have to understand is whether it is in the stores or in the transit, that means the order has been placed and already the material is shipped by the supplier. So it is almost ours. So what treatment we have to give is simply take material on order also as part of our material at the beginning. So opening balances plus material on order, estimated closing balances plus material on order. So this is the simple question. On order, you're going to simply add it. So let us try to do this. 9th question. This is raw material purchase budget. what I try to do is I'll put X and Y like this. I'll try to put it in this way. Okay, no problem. Let me go ahead like this. There are two products, X and Y. So here I will start with, no, we actually have to find out the consumption. So consumption is not given. So my first step is not the raw material purchase budget here. So let us first find out the consumption. Before you find out the consumption, what is that you have to do? Find out the production. For me, sales is given to us, that is estimate sales is 50,000 units. So sales units are 50,000 units. Okay. Then I have to find out the production. Production is always in finished goods. Sales is always in finished goods. What is the formula for production? It is sales units plus closing stock of finished goods minus opening stock of finished goods, correct? What is sales given in the question? 50,000 units plus closing finished goods. Estimated opening balances of finished goods is given in the first part. In the third part, he gave estimated closing balances of finished goods as 6,000. So closing stock is finished goods is 6,000 and opening stock of finished goods is 10,000. So it is 50,000 plus 6, 56 minus 10. So it will be 46,000. All right. 56 minus 10, 46,000. The 46,000 units is what you are planning to produce. If you produce 46, then only you will sell 50. That's the logic. Now, in order to produce 46, how much is raw material required? So, consumption of raw material is equal to production of finished units multiplied with raw material required per unit. Raw material required per unit. Now, what is the raw material required per unit? That is given in the question. Go back to the question. He says, each unit of production requires 2 units of material X and 4 units of material Y. So, I am doing it for material X and material Y. Each unit requires 2 kilos of X and 4 kilos of Y. How many units you are planning to make? 46,000 kilos, 46,000 units. So, to make each unit you require 2 kgs. So, to make 46,000 you require how much? So, 46,000 into 2, it will give me 92,000 kilos of X is required. And 46,000 units is the production. It requires 4. That's what it says. 4 units of material Y. This will be how much? It will be 184. 1,84,000. Right? This is your consumption. Now, once you have the consumption with you, then you can go ahead with what you have to do is called as raw material purchase budget. So, going to the next. $92 and $184 consumption. So, the next one is raw material purchase budget. So, what is new thing here is we have material on order. So, I am actually extending it. You can actually do it keeping the product raw material X and Y here because you have you can get more space. Let me try this way. X, Y. So, what do you start with? Consumption of raw material. So, how much is the consumption of raw material? I think we got some 92,000 units of X and I think 1,84,000 of Y. Okay. To this, I have to add closing stock of raw material including on order. I am writing here as add closing stock of raw material including on order. Now, what do you mean by including on order? Let's correct this. including raw material on order. Okay, let me go back to the question. If you look at the question, what is the closing stock of raw material X? Closing stock of raw material X is 6,000. So X is 6,000 plus, if you look at the material on order, no, this is material on order is 16,000. I'm sorry, this is 16,000. Estimated closing balance of material X is 16,000. Material on order closing stock of X is 6,000. So it is 16,000 plus 6,000. This is for X. And for Y, the estimated closing balance of Y is 30,000 units. Plus on order, you can see on order it is 8,000. So I am going to take not just 16, I will take 16 plus 6. So for me it is 22,000 units of raw material. At the end, 30 plus 8, this is 38,000 units of raw material. Okay, so when I take the total, I get 114. This one is 222. Right? From this, what am I supposed to deduct? Opening stock of raw material. Again, same point you have tried. Including raw material on order. So, including raw material on order. Take X and Y the same way as I've taken now. Look at the opening stocks. Estimated opening balance of X is 15,000. On order it is 8,000. So it is 15,000 plus 8,000. And Y, opening balance of Y is 25,000. On order is 12,000. 25,000 plus 12,000. So 25 plus 12, 15 plus 8, 25 plus 12. So 15 plus 8 comes to 23,000. 25 plus 12 comes to 37,000. So deduct this, you get therefore raw material required to be purchased. So raw material required to be purchased will be your answer. So it is 1,14,000 minus 23,000 comes to 91,000, right? And 2,22,000 minus 37,000 comes to 1,85,000. This is what we have in raw material budget. So you have learned how to prepare a raw material budget. Raw material purchase budget, you start with consumption, add the closing raw materials, deduct the opening raw material, you will get the raw material required. If purchase price is given, multiply with the purchase price, you will get the raw material purchase cost. Okay guys, I'll stop it here. Thank you all.